Hey guys, my name is Allison and I am the face behind this channel. I don't show my face very often, but here we are. So I started taking my finances more seriously back in 2022. Back June 2022, I discovered Caleb Hammer, and he does these financial audits, and his channel was much different back when he had 1,000 subscribers, and he shed light on the topic, which is really helpful for me because it allowed me to be more insightful about my life and where I was at. And of course, you watch that show and it's like a typical cope where you're like, oh God, like I'm not as bad as them, thank God. But it wasn't good. So after watching the show for a few months, it inspired me to start my own debt journey, and it was kind of like the wake-up call that I really needed. Over the course of my life, I've had a lot of debt, really, that's gotten paid down up until that point. I even previous to 2022 had a different car that I completely paid off by that point. But so when I actually took my finances seriously over the course of between 2022 up to July 10th, 2025, which was the day I paid off all of my debt, I paid about $37,000 of debt. So, needless to say, deciding to purchase my car, which that's what this video is about, is the purchase of my car, and I want to explain why. Ultimately, I did not take that decision lightly at all. I put a lot of thought and intention behind the decisions that I made, compared to previous decisions that I've made with car purchases. But yeah, I took this decision very, very seriously, and I did watch a lot of Dave Ramsey as well during my debt journey, and I would sometimes have to stop watching because I would get in this unhealthy all or nothing mindset. Though watching the debt-free screams was super motivational, and I was like, oh, that could be me one day, that could be me. It also wasn't good, and I'd have to pull back a little bit. I definitely had a feeling of guilt when I made this purchase of this new car, and honestly, this new car was for the betterment of my life. And the reason for that being is because I had a retinal detachment. It is part of my story, so if you've been here from the get-go, you've heard the story before. But back June 2023, so there wasn't a long period of time of me being on the journey. I was getting my grounding, my footing, figuring out the budget, because I'd never budgeted before. That was part of getting out of debt. A huge part is the budget. But I was not in the journey very long until I had a very serious health thing. So at the end of June 2023, I was going in for my normal eye doctor visit. I was not a full-time glasses wearer. I only wore glasses really sitting in front of a computer, or maybe occasionally driving to see a distance. Something just wasn't right. I happened to get a cat hair in my eye during that drive, and I was rubbing my eyes, irritated. I ended up seeing her 3 weeks in a row, and it just turns out that she was delayed in running tests, so she didn't see it sooner. By the time she saw it, it was too late, but my retina ended up detaching. I remember I was visiting my family for 4th of July weekend, and it had happened sometime during that day, and my family is over 2 hours away, and it was actually a really scary drive home because it started downpouring. I was driving on the turnpike, which in Pennsylvania, the turnpike is 70 miles per hour, and I remember getting down to 25 miles per hour because I just could not see. My vision was closed in like horse blinders. It happens a little bit differently for everyone from what I've been reading. I'm in these a support group on Facebook, but for me, it felt like horse blinders. So if you have full vision of your eye, you can see everything in front of you, your peripherals on your sides, whatnot. For me, it was quite literally closed in to where I could only see what's in front of me. There was no peripheral or anything. So yeah, it was It was a really scary drive home. It took me a really long time to get home, but I got home, thank God. In the meantime, once that happened, she ended up getting me in with an eye disease specialist, and they looked and immediately shared the bad news that my retina had detached because she didn't know. And sadly, early detection is key in these sort of things. But yeah, it was discovered late. And so anyways, I went through the whole recovery process. It was a really rough recovery for me. I was in a lot of pain. I had like the silicone banding placed around my eye and cryotherapy, which suddenly the name is lost on me of what that's called, like what procedure I had. A lot of people do the gas bubble, but my procedure that I had done, when it works better than the other options. It had more risk of rejection because you're putting a foreign object into your body and your body could reject it. But when it's successful like 99% of the time or some crazy number. But I'm lucky enough that, everything's good with that. So with that said, like during my journey of healing, and this is partially why I was out of work for so long, I could not see properly. So when the retina was detached, my vision was fully opened up again, but everything was blurry. I just did not have full use out of my eye. I actually remember this, and it's very bizarre. When it was detached, though my vision was closed in, my vision was clear. But once it was put back into place and all the things, I just didn't have full use. And I just thought that was part of the recovery process, I would extend my leave out. I was out of work for 2.5 months. But toward the end of my leave, I'm actually trying to remember, was I still on leave when I was diagnosed? I might have been. I was diagnosed as being legally blind. And so some people don't know what that means. It doesn't mean like total darkness, like I see absolutely nothing out of my eye. That's not what that means. With corrective lenses or contacts, they can get my vision to be better. Some people can't even get their, like, it's such an off balance between both eyes that you can't even get your prescription to even remotely to being like a normal prescription. Actually, I had that conversation back this past fall when I got my glasses, because we were trying to get me up, boost up my prescription, and I distinctly remember having the conversation of like, oh man, like immediate headache, like pounding. It was just awful headaches, like having a little bit of a headache is normal, and she's like, oh, yeah, no, I don't think so. And I was like, why? I mean, isn't that part of the process? Like, you get a headache and then you just adjust. And she's like, yeah, but it shouldn't be that extreme of a situation. Like, a small headache, of course, can happen. But she's like, with patients that have retina detachments in one eye, like, sometimes their body just cannot handle getting the stronger prescription. And so really, my good eye does most of the work for things. I remember like the recovery process and even going back to work, it was a huge struggle. Once I was cleared to get glasses and contacts, I still really struggled with my independence. I didn't realize how much of my identity was tied into being able to see and being able to just hop in my car and go someplace. I relied a lot, very heavily on Joe. I really wouldn't leave the house a lot. He would really be the person that was driving us around. Like, even after the surgery and going back to work, definitely like more than a year, I just really wasn't driving a lot. I really was kind of isolated. I really was. I would try, like, I would absolutely try. Oh God, I don't want to get emotional, so I'm gonna try not to. I could remember like trying to go to the gym and it was raining And I've had like really close calls driving and not being able to see in the rain and almost hopping a curb, like really stupid accidents because I just could not see. So on top of being legally blind, I have astigmatism. And anybody that has astigmatism knows nighttime driving is difficult. Nighttime driving in the rain is even more difficult. Nighttime driving in the rain with shittily painted lines on the roads is even worse. So with the retina detachment, my vision was even worse in those conditions. So for me, the decision to purchase a car was beyond like a want. When you compare it to the car that I had before, it felt necessary for me, like for me to feel confident, to feel independent, like during this period, I gained weight. I've since lost about 20 pounds, but it was really affecting my mental health. And I really didn't realize it, like sitting in it in the moment, but just sitting here reflecting back, like I really truly did not realize how depressed I was. And not only from the loss of independence, but just the fact that my life changed. I had to relearn how to drive, because like things change with perspective and like, I don't know, like with being so off balance, it's hard to describe, but like depth perception and that sort of thing was different. Like it felt scary. I felt like a new driver again, like trying to get used to my new normal, both wearing glasses, not wearing glasses, and it's just interesting. But I've had to use my emergency fund before because I couldn't see driving. Like it hasn't been fun. It's been scary at times. So again, I did not take this decision lightly at all, but I did finance a car. I put a lot of thought into it, did my research. I chose to go with a Mazda. At the time, Joe was working for Mazda. He was delivering parts for them, and it's a slept-on brand as far as safety, reliability. I mean, I don't know, like these days they're popping up for their SUVs and whatnot for that sort of thing, but like they were one of the top ranked, like I think the top 5 or top 3 brands or something, I don't know, but I decided to go with a Mazda. And so for me, it wasn't like I have to have a car. I was okay, like if it didn't work out in my favor, like if I wasn't getting the numbers that I wanted to get, I was like, whatever, I'm gonna walk away from this. Like I have a car, but if this works out, if I get the numbers that I want to hear, then I'll do it. I had paid off over $37,000 of debt. I had cleared up, and I was able to make this purchase intentionally. I know it seems silly. It's like, you worked so hard to get yourself out of debt, and now you're back into debt. Believe me, that's not lost on me. I really, really have struggled with the guilt of this, of purchasing a car, but looking back and like where I am now compared to a year ago, I'm in such a different headspace. Like, and because of that, other changes in my life have happened, like the weight loss, and just feeling independent and like being excited about driving again. Like I really dreaded driving. I really did not feel comfortable, and it's just so exhausting planning your life around the weather. Like, no joke, I would plan my life around the weather. Like if it was raining, it's like, nope, I'm staying inside. And it's like, man, did we have rainy summers. The past 2 summers. Like last summer was so freaking rainy. Pretty much most of the summer was washed out. It was so annoying. So yeah, it's a decision now that I look back at, and I'm glad I made the decision. I absolutely love my car. I feel confident in my car. It's really safety features, so I just want to touch upon the safety features. So the car that I'm comparing, I had a Nissan Sentra 2012. It's like before all the fun bells and whistles and cars, and it's like right next to me right now, my car. I'm sitting outside, obviously. But that car did not have the bells or whistles. The cool thing that it had was it had the touchscreen LCD, like where you could get maps, and through the dealership you'd have to get updates on it. So those maps, I mean, it's a 2012, those maps have not been updated since 2012. And so like just that alone, like to navigate around would be holding my phone, like holding my phone, like looking at my phone screen. I couldn't handle putting my phone on the dash. It was just way too small for me to see things. So I'd have to hold my phone as I'm driving, which now with laws that have been passed, that's absolutely a no-go. You'll get tickets and pulled over for that. So like you're not allowed to touch your phone physically at all while you're driving, at least in Pennsylvania. Or actually even like while you're just operating the car. I think even if you're like at a stop sign, traffic light, you're not allowed to. Which, duh, I mean, safety. That alone, it seems so silly, but this car, I have Google Maps, so I'm able to actually have the most updated map ever, which of course a lot of cars have that. So like that's just a small thing, but like that's just the first thing that I thought of. But like my car has auto sensing wipers, so whenever it rains the wipers automatically start going, and it keeps up with like how heavy the rain is going, or coming down rather. So that's actually really helpful. Like the less distractions that I have driving, the more I can focus on trying to see the roads, because again, I wear contacts, I wear glasses, but it's really my good eye that's compensating for the other eye. So while my right eye is extremely blurry, it's really my good eye and my left eye that's doing the heavy lifting for me, which is also very scary because I show signs of retinal detachment, possibly in my future with my good eye, but at least I know the signs to look out for. So yeah, the auto sensing wipes was a big deal for me. Having a backup camera was huge for me. Lane detection assist is a huge feature for me that I absolutely love. You know, like really at the end of the day, it's not the everyday normal daylight driving that gets me. It's like when I'm caught in the elements, you know? So like when it's raining and like sometimes, you know, it just low vision, low light, it's hard to see, like when it's coming down hard and you have someone coming up to the side of you. So having the lane detection helps a lot. Oh, sorry, I'm kind of mixing features. So sorry, let me just say the blind spot monitoring is what I'm talking about in this moment. I apologize. So the blind spot monitoring, so my car, on the side mirror as well as in the car, there's like a symbol that tells me if someone's to the side of me. But sorry, what I meant was like the lane assist, is that the technical term for it? What it does is like if I'm veering out of a lane, like getting out of the lines, it like physically guides me back and like beeps and like, yeah, like my wheel turns and stuff. Like that's actually really helpful because again, I don't think like people take for granted the lines on the roads. Like I absolutely despise when the lines on the road are faded. It's so hard for me to see them at nighttime, and especially when it's raining. It's so frustrating. I wish that places would keep up on keeping freshly painted lines. But anyways, so I don't know if I miss, and I have notes here so I don't forget. Was there something else? But like, yeah, even the backup camera is huge for me. I didn't have a backup camera in my other car, so it's very helpful. Not only does it have a camera, but it's sensing. I mean, this might be normal. I mean, to you, so these sound like simple, normal features that, like, for me are a huge deal. But for me, it beeping at me and telling, like, when it can tell someone is near the back end of my car. That's very helpful, especially when it's raining. Just to even be able to have visibility for backing up in general, like even in great conditions on the road, but like in the rain especially, that's so helpful, because again, like even if I'm turning my head to look out the window, like it's hard to see in the rain. I don't know, I think I hit on the safety features, like the main safety features. There's other features of this car that I absolutely love, like that's super helpful, because it can allow you to focus on like what you're doing, the driving aspect. Like even if I put my car in reverse, my right side mirror adjusts down so that it's pointed more at the road, the sidewalk area, so that you can see when you're backing up, so you can parallel park nicely and not have to worry about fumbling around with your mirrors and stuff like that. Like my previous car was so basic. The cool thing with my car was like a sport package, because it came with like XM radio for a year. It had an like nicer alloy wheels and a sunroof. Like that was like the main features of the car. The only safety feature of the car was like having airbags, which duh. So, but yeah, I just absolutely love my car. I'm always down to drive, like, and I think sometimes Joe's so taken aback, because like he too is just so used to like always having to be the one to drive, which, you know, guys typically do anyways, but like I'll be like, no, I want to drive. Like I'll argue with him sometimes, you know, and like he won't argue with me, like cool, whatever, though he is a very impatient person, and sometimes he'd rather just drive. But yeah, so it's just much different now. I feel a lot more free and happy and safe. Really, my biggest thing is safe. So that is why I made the decision of purchasing the car. I don't regret it. But let's get into the numbers. I haven't really like shared numbers in detail, so I'm going to be looking down. I have notes here, but I'm going to get into a deeper dive in a video. So if you're interested, subscribe. I've learned a lot throughout this process and doing my research that I want to share it, and I want to share like the comparison and stuff, but I'm just going to focus on like general numbers right now. So I negotiated my car down, so it was stickered at $28,705, and that's of course before any of the taxes, titles, fees, all of that, which seems that those fees are like $2,000+ So my car purchase price would have put me over $30,000 all in if I didn't negotiate it down. I ended up getting it for $26,280.52. So that was a savings of $2,424.48. I put a down payment down. It was $3,060 in total, and so $2,500 was on a credit card. So when I made the decision that I knew that I was going to do it, I applied, and I did some credit card hacking, and I applied for a credit card that was a 0%. And that's why sometimes in my current videos I mention like, oh, you know, I have a 0% interest card. Like if I hold the balance for a minute, it's okay, you know? So I got a 0%, and it came with some sort of cash incentive offer where you spent like $1,500 in 90 days, which was really easy to do with a down payment, that I got like $300 back or something. I don't know. I think that went back into the car. That the bonus rewards have been used a long time ago. I might have done a video about it, like what I used the rewards for. I just genuinely don't remember. If I can figure out what video it was on, I can always link that for you guys above. But yeah, so it was a $2,500 on the credit card, and then I did a cash payment of $560. So obviously this was planned and not planned, and I was back and forth of doing it. I felt a lot of guilt for getting a car, like all the things, but I ended up doing just $560. And I would have done more on the credit card, but they cap you with that. And so let's see here if I can see the numbers. So what ended up being financed, now this, so the last number that I had told you was the sales price. I got the car down at $26,280.52. That's before my down payments and whatnot are taken into account. That's before tax, title, tags. And then, of course, when I went into the financing office, I did decide to get gap insurance. I think it ended up being like $1,100 or $1,200 for the gap insurance, which I did shopping outside of that. Honestly, it was a great deal. I'll get into more detail in another video about the whole car buying process and like I said, but the amount that ended up being financed was $26,697.88. So again, that is because of tax, title, like those little fees that they add on, you know, the normal fees like the doc fee and like for them to do the paperwork, etc. Plus the gap insurance. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. Because when I was looking at just the car itself, I would have been paying $30,000 for just the car. Then if I did gap insurance, it would have been $31,000 some odd dollars, whatever. So I'm really happy with that. Well, then of course it would have been down a little bit because of the down payment and stuff, but you get the point. Like, you know, I'm okay with this amount. And so as far as where I sit now with the numbers, I currently have about $21,083 left on my loan. The $2,500 credit card balance that I had is completely paid off. I paid that off, I want to say, in May. So with the car loan itself, I paid off $5,614.26, and then the credit card, the $2,500 on top of that. So what is that? $8,114.26 if I did the quick math correctly. My monthly payment, which includes the gap insurance, is $503.55 a month. And it was a 5-year loan. So I did the 5-year loan just so that my monthly payments weren't crazy, just in case like something unforeseeable happened. And I know that's the whole trick you get caught into, is like the whole financing and like stretching it out and all that stuff. But my goal is to pay it off in 3 years. Ideally, I would love to pay it off sooner than that. My progress has been slower than I wanted this first year, and that's always the trap too, is like you have the intentions, and I am in a much different situation now than what I was in the previous car, because I didn't actually have a goal to pay it off quicker, whereas I do now. It's just other things have come up that have taken and shifted my focus away on making more principal payments than I had hoped for, just because like moving right now is like, it's a huge priority in our lives. But you know, I made some decent progress even with the extra payments that I've made so far, and I'm really glad that the credit card is paid off. The deal on that was like 21 months or something. I don't know. I could have stretched it out for paying it back, but no, it was more than 21 months. Whatever. All I know is that I could have stretched that out to pay off the credit card, but I just, like, for me, it was like too much. Like, I just wanted to have that done out of the way, because really at the end of the day, like, if I didn't pay it off, the interest rate would have been like 30% or something like that. Oh, and my interest rate that I have is a 4.9% interest, which, you know, is great, but I'm sure there's better that's out there. I purchased my car August of 2025, so I didn't go very long being debt-free. So yeah, there wasn't a long period of time that went by before I did end up purchasing my car. I think I struggled a lot with the guilt of getting my car. You know, I was debt-free for the very first time in my adult life, And I didn't take that very lightly to make this decision. Like, I genuinely did not want to finance a car. I told myself that throughout the debt journey. I don't know if I've necessarily vocalized it, but like, I was all about that cash car situation with everything that happened with my vision, and it just kind of changed things for me, because at the end of the day, it's my safety and my independence that were important to me, and for me that was worth financing a car, even though they are depreciating assets. And this is just where I am. This is my story, and I don't regret the decision at the end of the day. I know I felt a lot of shame to tell you guys, especially like, oh my god, I'm out of debt, that's so exciting, and then to be like, yeah, I made a car purchase. Because I know, like, super hard Dave Ramsey fans, like, there's some that watch my channel, and I just, like, I don't know, I felt like I was a disappointment in having to share that with them, but ultimately this was the right decision for me, and I don't regret it. So but yeah, thank you so much for hearing me out, and go ahead and subscribe if you are not already. I definitely want to do a little bit of different videos on this channel. Some videos in the near future, I want to do a comparative thing of my previous car versus now, like the numbers, because it is bonkers. It's bonkers when you go into it without a plan, and how easily you can get taken advantage of. And I think a lot of how I navigated through this car purchase was from a place of trauma. And I'll tell you a little bit about that. And then I also wanted to go into like the actual, so I wanted to do a comparison thing and then go into the actual car buying process and the do's and the don'ts of what I've learned with buying the car, because you can save yourself a lot of money if there's intention behind it. But thank you so much for watching, for supporting, and I will see you in the very next one. Bye.